We are Dexian, in the business for good.
Our first distinguished speaker at the plenary session, Mr. Jagdish Babu, COO of Ekstep Foundation, has been a powerful force in developing transformative societal solutions at scale. He has been instrumental in leveraging digital infrastructure, AI, and collaborative resource sharing to drive the sustainable, efficient, and inclusive agriculture practices. We welcome you, sir.
That I must thank the Dexian team for the logistics support and following up diligently for last 1 month, almost one week rather, and providing all the support. Thank you all if you are all here. And Gates team to kind of connect the dots in such a complex system to organize for these months to happen. Thank you. So the topic that I thought I'd talk to you today is how should we kind of organize ourselves. If you were to say 10 years from now, we are sitting in a room like this, and it's my privilege and fortune to be part of some such journeys in the past with individuals who are really powerhouses in the country today and in the world today. So I'm kind of talking from their shoulders and that podiums that they kind of talked about from 2009 onwards. So shall we? So in the next 10 minutes, kind of let's look at a zoom out 10 years from now and how do we kind of construct our games today to make some serious relevance in the future for the lives of farmers. I'm a farmer myself. I'm a small subsistence farmer in the other avatar. If you see me in that avatar, you will not know the same guy is the other side, right? Okay, so starting with, the question is DPI, right? Whether we should, that's what I wanted to talk to you about briefly. And what's the game of this DPI is, and how do you think about it? First of all, in the last 2 days, can any one of you name one DPI that you touched, that you were touched by? One DPI. Aadhaar, UPI, those, DigiLocker. I'm sure all of you flew in. DigiYatra, I'm sure. See, it has become part of our life, DigiYatra, isn't it? We just walk in and doors open, right? Imagine those long queues, especially in the old Bangalore airport, where that was the bigger problem than going to America or otherwise. Standing and clearing the security was a bigger issue. So you see now, when you think about the idea of a DPI, like Aadhaar, DigiYatra, UPI, and so on, I went to Mylapore temple today morning at 6:30. There was a hundi and next to that was a UPI QR code. I was asking the driver some money because I didn't have money. So I said, I will transfer you, can you give me some money? And he had only 200 rupees. So that's life. That's how life has changed. The hundi has a QR code, driver only has 200 rupees, and I have no money. Okay. So, and I have come to Chennai, right? My dad would have reminded me a million times whether you're carrying a purse, whether you have money in the purse, let's say 10 years back. Today, that's our life. So if you go back one screen, the topic that I want to touch upon today, imagine this is how our movies play, going back and forth. Right? So I want to talk about 2 words, transformation and infrastructure. That's the focus in the next 5 minutes. When you look at transformation, Srivalli talked about an idea of a transformation today where children kind of use the phone to work with their parents. But I want you all to kind of think about what transformation means. Right? Take a moment. What is transformation? Since time is short, I will not ask you, but let me tell you my story. A transformation is when a shift has happened in the practice of a people in that domain. That is transformation. A shift has happened in a practice of the people at large, population scale. A hundi pe QR code aa gaya, driver is carrying 200 rupees only, and he is scrambling where the 200 rupees is. That's a shift in the practice of money, cash, paper cash, versus digital cash. Since all of us here are deeply committed to improving lives and have spent our lifetime in that pursuit, it's helpful to think, what transformation are we after? And what does the meaning of the transformation is? Transformation is shifting of the practice at scale. Because one of us shifting our practice doesn't cut it. Because many a times people are carrying credit cards and stuff like that. Let's say you go abroad. Without that, you can't do much. But here you can do without cash. That's a shift. The challenge of shift in the practice is the study that I have been very interested for a while. What does it mean to shift people's practice? Overall, I'm by observing shifts. And what does it mean to have a shift? All of these shifts, we have been through. Much of us in the room have seen the shifts that have happened in many of these. And it has not been a single day journey. If you go to the next slide, the slide of money, this game began in 2009 of trying to say that if you have an identity, you can actually, all of us can have bank accounts, and all of us having bank accounts, and there will be a day when there will be enough network, there will be enough day when any compute will be in our hands, that we can pay money to each other. In 2009. But that idea was very concrete. It's believable, right? I mean, all of us technologists can construct a story like that, and it's highly believable. What's wrong? Except that your network was 2G, when in many parts of the country 1G, in many parts of the country 0G. Right? Yeah, understandable. And phones, Nokia was the ruler, and Blackberries, we were all moving with Blackberries. But then, it's that theory, that this stuff coming together will make the change happen. But you see the curve there, right? Many of us do remember 2015, 16, 17, there were alternate payment systems. The idea that I want to talk about here is that core idea is the game we constructed for ourselves as a country, and we danced around it for 10 years for us to see this day. One idea, dance it around, right? Keep going around and around and around before you come to this day. Right? There were a million other possibilities. I'm sure all of them are viable and very feasible for sure. So transformation at scale, the core idea that I want to put on the table is, you need to persist around a common idea and not distract ourselves too much. Else, it's not happening. Every tea shop fellow knows the day he sets up the shop, business is not going to happen. I'm sure you go back to your college, the tea shop is still there, and I'll tell you a small incident and then I'll move ahead. How persisting things actually make people to adopt. I was lost in Ooty forests recently in December in my Innova, and went far away into some forest road, and I was lost at 9 o'clock, no network, no maps, not working. So what do? You wait, and their two-wheeler fellow came. I asked him, boss, where to go? I have this address to go. He said, go on this road for 10 kilometers. Third hump, you will see a tea shop. Third hump, tea shop. Take left of the tea shop. Well, I was shocked. So this fellow is counting humps. I never paid attention to humps. In Bangalore, if you start paying attention to potholes, then there's population scale, right? So then I started taking the journey, believing him. Yes, indeed. Third hump. Now I started paying attention to my hump, right? Every hump slow. Okay, there's a first hump, second hump, third hump. This is what permanence has to be. You think about it, right? The hump has been around for him for so long, for him to say, work backwards. If you go from here, it's a third hump. On the left, there is a tea shop, and then there is the address for you. Wow, right? That's a permanency effect, okay? So this has been around, and that's why even the second section, third section of the population can trust this and move ahead. Next slide, please. So for transformation to happen, it has to persist among us, around us, forever, for it to be adopted. Otherwise, it's not happening. Every new idea is not a good recipe for transformation. So this is an example from education. So it just shows how much complex the ecosystem is. And I was part of one such journey in the last maybe 7, 8 years. And if you go to the next slide, this talks about the the time it has taken for some idea to take roots. If you go across to a school outside this area, in some government school or any local school or a CBSE school, you will find a textbook and you will find, go to the next slide please. I'm sorry. You will find textbooks with QR codes and content linked to them all around. Now the central point, when you think about infrastructures and stuff like that, what kind of a game can we construct? How do we, what's the rules of the game? What's the game and what's the rules of the game, and what kind of fun should we have? If you think about yourself as a Superman, that's your right side story. And I'm sure you will produce great music. I trust you on that. All of us can produce. The other is to organize ourselves around games and create our own rules. There's no rules for this, right? We can actually create our own community rules to create a game that we can play, have fun. But I do notice, and my invitation today is to come together for one such game, which I will talk about soon after. My invitation is, let the game be whatever it is. Let's create a common game and play that common game. If the game is not right, change the rules. If the game is not fun, let's have fun with the games. But create a common game. Else, from the common man perspective, all we will do is solution after solution after solution, tech after tech after tech. And it has to persist. Why did I go to that temple today? It's persisted for centuries. That's why I went there. There are 100 temples around here, I'm sure. Right? So what's that common game? And how much fun should we have? If you go to the next slide, please. If we can actually have a game like this, and I'm not looking at the guy at the top, I'm looking at the people on the ground, right? See how much energy and enthusiasm is there, right? And do you think it has taken a day to get there? That UPI story of 10 years to come together and make sure all parts improve and all parts mature up and we all play our role in it. This is the game. It's not the hero out there actually. The heroes are on the ground, right? Supporting it. So my invitation is to call out all of us to come and have such a game, right? So if you go to the next slide, one such game that about 2.5 years back, based on an invitation from Secretary Government of India, Manoj Ahuja, and this is the principles of the DPI that I talk about, which we can skip. Go to the next slide, please. So is what we call Open Agri-Net. The name itself has changed. Like any number of names that, any number of main things that you have seen today, whether UPI was not called UPI then, Aadhaar was not called Aadhaar then, Diksha was not called Diksha then. It was had its own avatars, and everybody passing by wants to have a different name, and that's good, right? You know, like all of us have different names in different family settings, right? We are all called differently. That's how it is. So Vistar became OAN, but the larger idea is it's a global idea. A network of people, network of institutions, network of commitments, and network of offerings that comes together and brings systems to come together. So if you see the larger idea, today the big deal is AI, and I want to kind of challenge you all today. Do any of you believe the reasoning capabilities of AI today? Do you doubt the reasoning capabilities of AI today? No. Damn thing works. Now that it works, this is 10x more belief than I was pushing people to say mobile phone se payment kar sakta hai. I was holding one Nokia phone, another Nokia phone. My other colleague Shankar would go around say, either payment ho sakta hai. And we were like dancing around so much in Delhi. People would say, what kind of nuts are you guys? Money doesn't move around from bank to bank on paper, and you are saying now you're from phone to phone. Phones are so unreliable. This is, AI is so much more believable today than those days, if you will, right? When will 4G come? When will 2G come? I spent 1 year trying to optimize Aadhaar packets because the data networks won't carry it. That was 1.5G type of stories, right? It looked like a foolish pursuit now, looking back. So DPI powered by AI is a reality. AI will actually amplify DPI, and Open Agri-Net is one such idea. If you go to next slide. The idea is very simple. If I show you the UPI architecture versus Vistar architecture, that's Open Agri-Net architecture, it looks similar, exactly same, powered by a mediating protocol. The architecture is not the point. The point is that we can organize information around the world without having to change the people and their systems. This is my biggest realization in the last 5 years. If I have to transform every system in the country for me to connect them two together, then we are starting with the lossy statement. Let the people be, let their system be as efficient and as reliable as they are. They are what they are for a very good reason. Let's figure out a way to connect them together and create a larger network powered by AI. If you put AI in the middle, AI in the center of any system, when that system is continuously changing, that's a recipe for instability. Because every day that thing is changing. And that's how it has to be. And that's good, it's changing. That's how we have so much progress. So create a larger collection of information sources and let AI do its magic. That's the idea of Vistar and OAN. If you go to the next slide, please, the last one. This is the promise, right? For agripreneurs around the farmer and the farmers themselves. And I see this is not limited to farming ecosystem. It's a livelihood ecosystem and pretty much every vertical can benefit from this. Connect the dots, powered by AI, and that makes a very big, many possibilities come to life, which we have not even thought of. With that, thank you very much. I invite you all to the game of OAN. Thank you.
We are Dexian. In the business for good.